Hello. I want to start by congratulating all of you on your valuable work on behalf of Lithuanian residents. My name is Maria McCauley, and I am director of the Cambridge Public Library in Massachusetts in the United States. Your work is vital. Every day, you are welcoming community members to participate in library services and programs. You are connecting patrons to resources and information. You are helping people to build their literacy, knowledge, and skills. You are fostering a love of reading, and you are creating vital programs and services that are responsive and relevant to the needs of your community. Thank you for your endeavors. Thank you as well to American Library Association President Julius Jefferson, Michael Dowling, Director of International and Chapter Relations Offices at the American Library Association, and Violeta Staponetynia, President of the Lithuanian Libraries Association, for your invitation and coordination to speak. The pandemic has challenged all of us in the library profession. I want to recognize that it has been an incredibly difficult 14 months. Your National Library Week theme, New Reality, New Forms, is quite appropriate to the current environment. My understanding is that you are creative and inventive and offer a lot of innovations, education to readers, and run successful advocacy campaigns. Congratulations, that is amazing. I encourage you to continue your innovations during this time. Whether this is offering contactless holds pickup, embracing and marketing digital resources, offering virtual programs in novel ways, or partnering with lunch sites, I also encourage you to continue to take care of yourself and each other and to recognize the incredible work that you are doing for your communities. There are almost 17,000 public libraries in the United States and 350 public libraries in the state of Massachusetts. Each of these libraries has been challenged, and each has risen to the challenge of how to offer library services during this unprecedented pandemic. In the United States, there have been many different service models depending on state and local ordinances and how the virus is behaving in various states and regions. Some public libraries are open for full service. Some are closed or have closed at times during the pandemic, and many are offering some kind of hybrid services. In the United States, libraries have pivoted to outdoor, curbside, and walk-up contactless holds pickup of library materials. From books to STEM learning kits, libraries offer many virtual programs, from job seeking and career support to exercise and meditation classes for adults, to offering virtual children and family story times, sing-alongs, and other programs. Libraries are also providing a space for teens to connect with others, learn new skills, and voice how they are feeling during the pandemic. Libraries are also getting laptops, hotspots, and printing services out to those who need connectivity, and some are offering limited computer services within their buildings. They are also creatively getting books into the hands of kids and families through food sites, outdoor outreach, and affordable housing partnerships. Additionally, libraries are providing services to elders, including senior housing delivery to wellness classes. With the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, the social consciousness and awareness of systemic racism on the part of many in the United States has been elevated. Many libraries have been responding by learning about systemic racism, looking inward at practices and providing learning opportunities to community members through public programming. Now I'd like to introduce you to Cambridge and the Cambridge Library System. Cambridge is in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in the northeastern part of the United States, right across the river from Boston. It is home to 118,000 residents living in 7 square miles. Cambridge is home to several notable universities, including Lesley, MIT, and Harvard. While Cambridge is fortunate to have a lot of community assets, Cambridge has a great economic disparity from people without stable housing to the very wealthy. Affordable housing, the pandemic, educational opportunities, and jobs in the economy are top concerns for residents. Fortunately, Cambridge is a city of readers and library lovers. It is also a city that is invested in its public libraries to the benefit of the public. During normal times, the Cambridge Public Library is open 65 hours per week across its libraries. And as you can see, these are different images of our beautiful libraries. During a recent strategic planning process, community participants described going to the library as an experience. The Cambridge Public Library experience has deep meaning for patrons in that it is much more than a transactional place to pick up a book or attend a lecture, but that it is part of the fabric of their Cambridge civic identity. In non-pandemic times, residents enjoy choosing where they go to experience the library, whether that is at the multi-floor, 100,000 square foot main library, or a more intimate small neighborhood branch. For a mid-sized urban library system, Cambridge Public Library also offers a wide range of services, from programs and services for youth and parents, adult research assistance and learning, and recreational opportunities. STEAM learning opportunities, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, with a brand new state-of-the-art maker's space, a local history and archives service staffed with a professional archivist, English for speakers of other language classes, and an auditorium where lectures and programs take place daily. This is our new makerspace. Local response to the pandemic. The Cambridge Public Library team and departmental and community collaborators worked to get physical and virtual library resources to the community throughout the pandemic. First, we needed to learn how to work remotely and to check in with each other, since everyone was scared and struggling. Custodians and some administrators continued to work on site while we converted to working remotely. Library administrators have worked continuously since we shut down in March. Senior managers came back on a rotating schedule on site beginning in June, and all staff who were able to started rotating back mid-June. We started Holt's pickup at the main library in June. Since that time, we have checked out 248,000 physical materials and processed 271,000 returned items. We have facilitated 46,500 contactless Holt's pickup at the main library and 15,300 at 3 of our branch libraries. We've checked out 563 Chromebooks, hotspots, and bundles for home use and offered printing services. We've responded to 3,000 web inquiries and answered 16,100 patron phone calls and registered 3,100 online library cards. We hosted 3,500 attendees and 62 virtual events for adults and 4,600 attendees at 188 virtual public programs for youth. This includes story time with our mayor and virtual orientations of our new makerspace, The Hive, which includes a virtual and augmented reality room, a recording and mixing studio, and state-of-the-art maker equipment, including laser cutters, digital sewing machines, and 3D printers. During the pandemic, we have also printed people's designs for outdoor pickup. Here's a picture of patrons waiting to collect the library materials that they have placed on hold and doing so in a socially distant way. We launched a popular virtual readers advisory program called Your Next Great Read. And we collaborated on 30 events distributing 8,300 books for youth at food pantries, affordable housing sites, and library branches. We provided materials to people staying at a makeshift shelter. And we recently restarted delivery to seniors, to elders in our community. We initiated staff learning about equity, inclusion, and systemic racism through learning sessions, task force, and cohort work. Here are some images of story time, virtual story time. Sorry, I cut off one of the. We also partnered with MIT Media Lab's Clicks initiative on offering facilitating creative workshops for staff participants across the United States. We continued our STEAM partnership, the Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, Math, Learning Partnership with the city's STEAM initiative and Innovators for Purpose, a local nonprofit. Local teens created an augmented reality and physical exhibit. This resulted in skills building, and perhaps most importantly, Cambridge teens were able to give voice to how they were feeling about the pandemic, the death of George Floyd, and systemic racism. We supported one another through the death of a colleague and many loved ones who passed during the pandemic. We brought in someone to do grief counseling and honored our colleague's life. We also acknowledged that many staff have lost loved ones, are worried about loved ones, and may be suffering themselves. We included employee assistance program information, which is a free confidential referral, or short-term counseling service, which is an employee benefit. We also worked on organizational development work in the areas of communications, internal operations, training and development, and culture, including improving regular communications with library staff via emails, virtual town halls, and check-ins. I am so thankful to staff, volunteer boards, and partners who worked throughout the pandemic. We have learned together, supported each other, and have grown together in meaningful ways. We continue to plan for further reopening, which will include expanded branch services, starting with Holt's pickup at another branch at the end of this month, and we prepare to open the main library for limited in-person appointments. And of course, we're looking forward to the broader, full reopening. Various working groups of library supervisors have planned for reopening. This has included many, many versions of possibilities. For example, different versions of physical layouts and services, such as limited walk-in service by appointment versus limited walk-up with no appointments, full use of bathrooms versus being for emergency use only, youth services by appointment versus browsing of youth service materials on the ground floor, computer services or no computer services. This has also included what kind of services to offer at our branches and when to continue to expand services to all branches. Currently, we offer branch services at only 3 of our 6 branches. We have worked closely with public health and the city manager's office to coordinate rollouts and reopening plans. I wanted to share some reflections with you about what I've learned through this pandemic that I believe really matter. First, I want to acknowledge that this global pandemic has been incredibly difficult. So many people have died, lost loved ones, suffered from depression, lost jobs and businesses, and societal inequities have been highlighted. Second, we are all in this together. And the only path forward is to have authentic voice and to get to know people on a personal level. As one of my guides, Joyce Shaba, says, we need to get in touch with our humanity. Third, we should all work to create a more just, equitable, and inclusive world. I hope that you enjoyed this overview. Before I depart, I want to wish you a very happy National Lithuanian Library Week. And thank you again for all you do. Never forget that you are opening windows to the world and helping people to live their very best lives through your provision of library services. Remember, no one else can offer what you can offer to your communities through your library service. My call to action for you today is that you think about one takeaway from this talk and put it into practice. And now I'd like to introduce my colleague and a special guest, Paul Trinell, who will also have some warm words for Lithuanian library staff. Congratulations again, and have a wonderful day.
Labą dieną, Lietuvos bibliotekininkų draugijos. My name is Paul Trinell. I am a library associate at the Borrower Services Department here at the Cambridge Public Library. I am also the great-grandson of Lithuanian immigrants. My mother's father and uncles played for a Lithuanian-American basketball team. My mother grew up listening to her parents and grandparents speaking Lithuanian. When I moved to Cambridge 30 years ago, there was still a large enough Lithuanian-American community that there was a Lithuanian-American church, and the public library had a collection of books in Lithuanian. Though I never learned to speak the language, I grew up proud of my Lithuanian identity, and I am excited to be sharing with you today. As Maria has shared, the library has responded to the demands of the global pandemic creatively and with exceptional flexibility. In terms of my own responsibilities, much of my work is now behind the scenes. Together with my colleagues, I continue processing materials after a brief quarantine period to ensure their safe handling. We all wear masks, wash our hands, and practice safe distancing protocols that include limits on how many people can be in any one room at a time. We do not share computer workstations without first re-sanitizing them. Many of my colleagues have been able to work remotely for either part or all of their hours to ensure their own safety and help manage the changing workloads caused by the pandemic. All of our meetings are over the internet, via Teams or Zoom, even when we are in the same building together. Still, it is a treat to be able to see each other face to face, even virtually, and share a bit about our lives during the pandemic. Since our buildings are closed to the public, patrons must request items through their online accounts or via phone or email. We have limited hours where patrons can come to retrieve their items. On most days, this means a long line of waiting patrons, even in the cold, rain, or snow. Yet almost everyone is appreciative of our work and happy to get their books and their materials. I think it's great that we have been able to provide internet hotspots and Chromebooks for our patrons to borrow. I also love that we are providing checked out books on site at area housing developments and food pantries. We now offer a vast array of virtual programming, including children's story times, adult book groups, and author presentations that attract viewers now from around the world. I hope that we are able to continue offering some of these highly valued services even after the pandemic. One of the biggest challenges, I think, for our library and the community is that our buildings can no longer serve as a destination to meet, study, browse, read, or just sit. Almost every day prior to the pandemic, every one of our seats was occupied and most of our programs were full to capacity. This has probably been one of the hardest impacts on our community and one of the most uncertain in terms of when and how it can be changed. Very importantly, I think the library has really tried hard to keep the community informed of changes in services and of our new offerings. Changes in our schedule, temporary closures due to spikes in community COVID cases, and changes at other libraries in our network have all impacted our services. At times, these impacts have frustrated some of our patrons. So clear and effective communication has been vital. And of course, good communication must start internally via clearly updated policies and talking points shared with staff via timely emails and Teams messages. In 1993, I became the first of my extended family to travel back to Lithuania in the same month that Russia finally withdrew its occupying army. On this memorable trip, I was overwhelmed by the graciousness and generosity of my hosts. I also learned more of the historical and cultural richness of my heritage. In countries such as Lithuania, librarians play a vital role in maintaining and sharing that rich historical and cultural record. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you today. Ačiū.